Hello listeners, and welcome back to ND 5.18. And as always, I am your host, Ender. We have done it. We've made it to the end of our MTG color breakdown. And the final color is white. Man, it seemed like it took longer than needed, but I have definitely enjoyed this ride with you all. And now, let's dive in. And the color of the day is white, represented by the plains. And the first aspect of white we'll be going over is morality, showcasing cards like Get Lost, Farewell, Solitude, and Giver of Rooms. This is summed up in saying the greatest good. Now, one thing you gotta take all this with a grain of salt. Every color is biased towards itself. Okay? Now, cards like Get Lost, great, efficient removal, and versatile. As you see, it says destroy target creature, enchantment, or planeswalker. Its controller creates 2 map tokens. They're artifacts with pay 1, tap it, sacrifice this artifact. Target creature you control explores. Activate this only as a sorcery, which means only during your main phase. Exploring means you get to look at the top card of your deck. If it's a land card, you can put it into your hand. If it's not, you can put that card into your graveyard, while the creature gets a +1/+1 counter on it. And now it's time for Farewell, the greatest all-purpose removal spell out there, even for its high cost of 6. You can choose 1 or more. Exile all artifacts, exile all creatures, exile all enchantments, exile all graveyards. I actually know quite a few people that said that this card is broken, too good, right? Most of those people are combo and tempo players though, so this does systematically holds their type of playstyle. But I think white needed this. It hits everything except planeswalkers, which honestly, I think it should have. Or there should be a version that does target planeswalkers specifically outside of the black blood and the snow one. So, and it's just good. Then there's Solitude. Flash, lifelink. When Solitude enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 other target creature. That creature's controller gains life equal to its power. You can evoke it, exile a white card from your hand, evoke it and cast it for 0. You just exile the white card in your hand. Man, this replaced Path of Exile. It's really good, super expensive though. I know I need to give myself a playset of this, or at least 3. Super expensive though. Then there's Giver of Rooms. It says another target creature you control gains protection from colorless or from the color of your choice until end of turn by tapping this. Great card. Sees play in a lot of mono white, especially Hammer Time. The greatest good, as stated. Okay, keeping it rolling, we now come to Order. And this is my preferred side of white. And this is showcasing cards like Deafening Silence, which states each player can't cast more than 1 non-creature spell each turn. Number 2, Dahlia, Guardian of Thrabian, a 2/1 first strike creature. When non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. Wedding Announcement, which states at the beginning of your end step, put an invitation counter on Wedding Announcement. If you attack with 2 or more creatures this turn, draw a card. Otherwise, create a 1/1 white human creature token. Then if Wedding Announcement has 3 or more invitation counters on it, you transform, and it turns into Wedding Festivity. And that states creatures you control get +1/+1. This is what's called a Anthem effect. And white is full of them. And they steady making more. Now, Order is summarized in stipulations and restrictions. Now it's time for the Planeswalker section. And I know there were quite big competition to find out who would be the white Planeswalker showcased here. And it ended up being Elspeth Tyrell. In particular, Elspeth Resplendent. A kind of newer version of her that I think best encompasses all the different variations of her. Even if this isn't the newest version, I think this one really needs to be, spotlighted here. And she embodies my favorite side of white, which is order. Her ability state, +1, choose up to one target creature, put a +1/+1 counter and a counter from among flying, first strike, lifelink, or vigilance on it. Her -3 states, look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may put a permanent card with a mana value 3 or less, that includes lands, from among them onto the battlefield with a shield counter on it. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Okay, and our -7 states, create 5 3/3 white angel creature tokens with flying. That's a good planeswalker in my opinion. Now, in brief history, she has a long history. She has been a refugee, a kidnapped survivor, watching her mother get murdered in front of her. She's been a knight, a world savior, a gladiator, chosen by a god, a killer of a god. She's been killed and resurrected. Now she's an archangel. That's the current upkeep on her. Like, she is amazing, and she's been through so much. Also, out of all the white planeswalkers that they've shown us, I feel like she is the most genuine. She has had her like redemption arc, her villain arc, her just tragic backstory, and her just being merciless. She's done it all, and she's still going strong. So I truly believe, if you want to, rally behind a white planeswalker, most people will say Gideon, but I feel like she's the realest. Now, it's time for the reputation of white. And it's just gain some more life. Just keep wiping the board. Yeah. It's just a little tax. See? That's the reputation of white. And yeah. Some of it's very stereotypical, but some of it's kind of, everyone's met that white player, And the cards kind of showcases Abiding Grace. At the beginning of your end step, choose one. You gain 1 life, or return target creature card with mana value 1 from your graveyard to the battlefield. Boom. Like, simple recursion, Soul Sisters, that type of thing. Number 2, Sunfall. A great board wipe. All right. Yeah, it's 5 mana, but it exiles all creatures. You incubate X, where X is the number of creatures exiled this way. Incubate, creates a token with X +1/+1 counters on it, and tap 2 to transform this artifact into a 0/0. Not really 0/0 because it has +1/+1 counters on it. Just a little tax like Archon of Emeria. I love this card, by the way. Flying 2/3. Each player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. Non-basic lands your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. I think that's just fair magic right there. Has flying. Now this is smothering type. I like this card. I do think that it has become this is the white card, this made it fair, of like commander white players, but it's not. It's just a strong card that's in white. Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2. If that player doesn't, you create a treasure token. Treasure is a problem. I'll say that. Now, personally, I believe that it should have just been that player may pay 1. I think that'd been fair. It would have been legitimately the white version of Ristic Study. No one's going to pay the 2. All right, and if they do, they're cutting themselves back, and the one their opponent isn't going to pay the 2. So this has kind of shifted the reputation of white in a way that is not as fair as it once was. Now, things to remember, people, and I'm very happy to be harping on this. White can perform all the archetypes. You can have white aggro, tempo, control, combo. Like, the only place it struggles, in my opinion, is in mid-range, but we're getting more pieces, so who knows? Like right here in the cards I've selected, 2 to 3 to 4, it could work. It's just when you compare it to some of the other decks out there, some of the other colors, I don't know. As good as white is at removal, it is the second best recursion color, after black, of course. Showcase here in Helping Hand. Return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Yeah, you can even build a Reanimator white deck, and it will still be efficient. Now, number one thing to remember, keyword tribal. Before green was the color with all the cards with a, like, you know, with a freaking thesis on it. It was white. But yeah. Remember that? Like we were the keyword soup. That was us. Hell, look at Odric, Lunarch Marshal. At the beginning of each combat, creature you control gain first strike until end of turn. If a creature you control has first strike, the same is true for flying, death touch, double strike, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, reach, skulk, trample, and vigilance. That is great. Hell, I have a mono white commander deck, piloted by Odric. Right, that's my strongest commander deck. I have like a damn near perfect record with that, like barring a few losses here and there. And I love this deck. I still like tune it, still use it. I would never get rid of it. Now, to finish talking about the showcase cards here, we have Copper Code Vanguard. States, each other human you control gets +1 and has Ward 1. Ward replaced hexproof. Whenever it becomes the target of a spell or an ability an opponent controls, counter it unless that player pays 1. Like a tax counter spell built into your creatures. And a great threat for white, Adeling, Resplendent Cathar. Okay, vigilance. His power is equal to the number of creatures you control. Whenever you attack for each opponent, create a 1/1 white human creature token that's tapped and attacking that player or a planeswalker they control. Once again, all good cards. Just remember, white isn't such a joke color, especially if you go into its strengths and really hold on to it. Okay, people, now it's time for the risk assessments. Strengths, removal. Like we all didn't see that coming. It's the only color that can remove every permanent outside of battles, which still new. You're still trying to figure out exactly what exactly you can do it or do with, to get rid of those things besides attacking them. There's go wide, aka swarming. Build a large force, just go around the blockers and just hit your opponent. It works. Green is the second best color in that. For those of you that only say, oh, you just highlight, when blue and green are so big and bad, like, let me just go ahead and put that out there. Then there's padding life. The primary color for life gain is white. This is not when you matches, unless you build your deck to win off of that. You can't just slap life gain and stuff and think, oh, that's enough. No, you still need to win the game. Please remember that. And now it's time for the weaknesses. And even with the little bit of boost and stuff it's had, one is still considered pretty weak. But I believe it's for reasons that people don't normally talk about. For instance, lightweight. White is the color for weenies. There is an entire archetype called white weenie. Right? And they need anthems to swarm in order to compete. They're just tempo-based creatures. Now, second weakness, card draw. Yes, it has been getting some new stipulation-based card draw, but in my opinion, it's still an undefined process. As you've seen some of the cards in here, in this little breakdown here, that mention card draw, something else had to happen first. Now, this is the number one weakness I see, and it's the design space. This is a systemic issue because white's strength are considered unfun. And because of that, you see so many board wipes, so many cards that make you gain life, because all the other parts of white that were strong and competitive and diverse are considered unfun by players that just want you to sit there and watch them win the game. I'm sorry, sounds cynical, but you're going to hear all that out in my next video. I've been kind of working on that alongside this one. That's why there was such a big delay. Now, an example of this design space neglect is land destruction. White's the color of that. So is red. Even black has some. Their stacks. That was a part of white. That has always been a part. I don't know why they're afraid to do that now. Now they got ward. But where this slaps on this like tax-based like protection, I think that should just be a primary white thing. Okay. Then there's the tax-based counterspells. Yeah, they said, oh, Mana Tithe was supposed to be a one and done. What about Lapse of Certainty? We just got Reprieve. Right? And everyone know, like, there's such a love and quote falling behind Mana Tithe. They should explore it more. White is the secondary counterspell color, but no one would ever talk about that part. And then just value engines. Once again, everything just stipulation based. What about Phyrexian Arena? That's just boom. Yeah, white got one in Commander now, but it goes away after like 3-4 turns. Like red has exile based, card draw continuously. Blue has the greatest card draw continuously. Black says, oh, I can, hurt my life. Boom, sacrifice my creatures. Boom, card draw. Green said, I just need something big. Card draw. Like, people make it fair. And they say, oh, but if white had card draw, it'd be too strong. Like, then give it something that is unique. And that's why I point up above this one to white card draw being undefined and still needing work. And now it's time for notable tribes. And these are the tribes I feel has some of the best support without crossing over into other colors. I know, it's such a great line. I say it almost every video, huh? Number 1, the face card for white. Angels. They have Lord effects. I'm not repeating it this time. If you all want to know what Lords are, check out my other videos. They have evasion, flying. They're unique. It's an angel. Like, token generation. Yes, angels make tokens. You're going to see a lot of that in here. And tribal synergies. Lots of ability to just say angels get this because of angel. Number 2, soldiers. Yes, they have lords. You saw Copper Code Vanguard. That's a perfect example of a lord right there. They're aggro, which means they can get going early in the game. They can scale to the mid game. And yes, there are even some abilities that give soldier ability to last in the late game. Not for long though, but still. Then there's tribal synergies. Lots of soldiers get +0, +1. Stacks. Great. You see the Copper Code Vanguard again. And yes, soldiers make tokens too. I wonder if that can be that recurring, huh? Number 3, cats. They got that lord effect again. They have combat tricks. Like certain ones get a first strike because of this. Pumps because of this. Tribal synergies. Cats make cats better. Like, there you go. There's one that says that if a cat will deal damage to a player, destroy target artifact or enchantment they control. And you know what? Man, cats make tokens too. And you're just unique. Then there's Archon, which I'm going to make a deck for like this myself. But it is very difficult, I'm not going to lie. But they're unique. They have stacks and they have evasion. Like, they are the law and order. Well, them and Sphinxes, but and a little splitting hairs on that. And in some regards, white also suffers a playstyle oriented legendary creature design space. In this case, it's life gain. You see so many life gain based commanders. It is such a boring aspect, in my opinion. Moving on. We've done it, people. We've made it to the end of the last monocolor MTG color breakdown. And it's your favorite slide. Tips and advice. Now let's get started. Number 1, protection and blinking spells are versatile. You do not just have to use it for offense, and you do not just have to use it for defense. Think about it. It's your option. Protection means they can't block you, right? And it also saves you and your creatures when you do put it in front of something to stop the damage from being done. Remember, people, Versatility is the key to use white effectively. Number 2, and I've harped on this multiple times during this video, gaining life is not a win condition for the most part. So if you're gonna use that, make sure you have a built-in win condition in the deck to take advantage of it. That's all I've been trying to say. Number 3, and I took this to heart, so I plead with you to do it as well. Being a white mage, you will struggle against the unfair playstyles, but you have to embrace the fair mindset. Now, what you consider fair is going to be restricting them from doing exorbitant amount of things. Make them play at the same speed as you, and that will be how you use white to its full potential. Number 4, anthems. They always print more. They're so plentiful now. Some of them are really good. Some of them are generic, but you need to use them. It helps you scale up to be able to fight on even ground with the green player, like with their gigantic creatures, with the red player, with their strong mid-range creatures. Anthems are our way to do it. So you may look into them. You may find some that, fit your deck, fit your playstyle. Now, for the cards that we're going to showcase today. Number 1, Aura of Silence. Oldie but a goodie. Artifact and enchantment spells your opponent's cast cost 2 more to cast. Then you can sacrifice this and destroy target artifact or enchantment. It's always going to be a classic and it will always work. Number 2, it's something that came out in Kaladesh, which was around the time when I was really getting into the game. I really love this card. Authority of Consuls. Creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped, and whenever a creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you gain 1 life. It stops those hasty threats from getting going, slows down people, and it gains you life. Then there's Crackdown. I just discovered this card. It states non-white creatures with power 3 or greater don't untap during their controller's untap step. You pair Authority of Consuls and Crackdown together. Mwah. Okay. Then there's Absolute Grace. This is a anthem. All creatures gain protection from black. So if there is a player at your table that loves bringing mono black or black oriented decks, put this on board. Yeah. It doesn't just help you, it affects all creatures. Yeah, even your opponents, which means that person will die because they can't block unless they have a second color. And then there's Paladin class, which I think is one of these new and upcoming anthems with multiple benefits. And it's 1 mana. Spells your opponent casts during your turn. This even hates on counterspell people. And targeted removal. Spells your opponent casts during your turn costs 1 more to cast. Okay. Level it up with 3 mana. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Okay. Level it up with 5 mana. Whenever you attack until end of turn, target attacking creature gets +1/+1 for each other attacking creature and gains double strike. Hey, that's a beater to me. And the last one is Test of Endurance. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 50 or more life, you win the game. Yeah, there's a creature that does the exact same thing as well. And that's what I mean. If you're gonna be that I gain life guy, win that way. Go get the win conditions. Okay, there's an artifact out there called Aetherflux Reservoir. It's another life gaining win condition. There's a Heliod Walking Ballista combo, right? If you're going to be that life gain person, go all the way. And that is all the tips and advice I have for you all today. Hello, everybody. And thank you yet again for tuning in for tuning in here at Indy 5.18. And as always, I have been your host, Ender. This has been a great series. I really enjoyed making this. For all of you who've shown support and all of you that just watch the videos, thank you yet again. Please continue to like, subscribe, share this with others. And if you would like me to do the 2-color houses of Magic, and hell, maybe even the 3 or 4, please let me know in the comment down below. If not, I may just do it just because I enjoy doing this. If you would like to see gameplay or, anything else, let me know. I'm here. I want to talk to you all. I comment, I heart, and any type of communication between me and my viewers / listeners here. I enjoyed this. And feel free to look at some other videos on the channel. I'm not just going to be doing breakdowns. I'm going to be playing other games. I stream over at Twitch. My link is on the page. Come join me every Saturday at midnight. Y'all, live your best life and be well. This is Ender signing off. Goodbye.